Really?
Yeah. Is it live?
Of course it's live. I have no idea. Just stand right in front of the thing. Baby's new hair. Okay, there you go. Well, so much for 10 minutes early.
What?
Yeah, I know Chuck Zulu said she could get it.
Who said that?
Somebody in the YouTube said.
Oh my goodness, does he look cute? Is the sound on? Can they hear me?
Huh?
Can they hear me talking right now?
It's probably there, but. Bulo, she said you can get it.
Kenny's trying to pip me out on YouTube right now.
The main event is making me pee tingle a little bit.
TMI, man, TMI.
That's funny. Okay. So much for early. Now watch it when we're on the
It's gonna be late now. Don't like that we can't
Jinxed
see.
it. You jinxed it.
You jinxed it.
This card brought to you by ShareText.
I think she should be right here.
Huh?
Hi guys, I have Rose.
Yay!
Well, welcome back. How have
Hello.
you been since we've seen you last?
I've been good. Yeah, just training a lot, enjoying life, you know.
How do you enjoy life? Because that's a different answer for everybody. And what makes you happy? What keeps you happy during those off times?
Yeah, my relationship with God, you know, I've been really diving deep into my scriptures, and you know, it's hard sometimes, but you know, just making a lot of life changes, and you know, doing the hard things is hard, and it can be not super enjoyable all the times, but when you make those changes and you see how it affects your life and how it blesses you, it gives you joy that's like everlasting.
I know that, you know, going through struggles is all part of being a Christian, is learning how to praise God in those moments. Are those losses something that you're able to kind of make and turn into something positive for yourself?
Oh, 100%. You know, I truly believe that, yeah, everything happens for a reason. I know it's cliche, but those type of things, I just submit to the will of God, because you know, even there's certain things that I can do better and certain things that are in my control that I drop the ball on sometimes. And then there's certain times where, you know, a door closes and you think that you think it's like the end of the world, but you realize, you know, God's protecting you because what's on the other side of that door is going to hurt you. So I just trust in all of my journey and my plan, or God's plan, to direct me in the safest route and in the way that is going to set me up for life in general. You know, wins and losses, obviously we want to win. I'm very competitive. I'm really looking for a win this Saturday, you know, but yeah, I just trust.
Can you just talk to me a little bit about how this fight was made? When did you get the call? Did you ask for this fight? Were you called and proposed the fight? Just talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So after the Manon fight, you know, I had to heal my pinky, and that happened. You know, but as soon as the fight was over, I was like, man, I was so close. I felt like I could have won that fight if I just, you know, if there wasn't just a little bit different here and there, and you know, whatever, shoulda, coulda, woulda, stuff like that. But I just had that taste of like, man, like usually I get down on myself after a loss, but it just motivated me so much more. So I was like, I knew after that fight I wanted to get right back in there, but I had to heal my pinky, had some other, you know, like personal stuff I had to figure out, and then it took me a little bit to kind of get those things in order. But as soon as I was like ready, I was looking for a fight, and yeah, and then I got offered a little bit earlier for this fight, but I wasn't 100% ready, just with some personal stuff. And then I got offered in March 23rd, and I was like, yeah, that's perfect.
What were your thoughts when you heard the name?
Amanda Ribas, you know, just excitement because of how she fights, her energy, her skills, you know, the fact that she's, you know, in the top 10, because for some reason I'm not ranked or whatever, even though I'm like pound for pound ranked. So it's super strange, but I'm like, okay, I never really paid attention to rankings, but now I'm like, yeah, it'd be nice to be ranked. So, so all of those things combined, I was just very excited to hear that name, but I was ready for anybody. I really didn't care who popped up.
What are you expecting from her? I know everybody says that they train for the 5 rounds, but do you actually expect to have to go the 5 rounds with her?
I mean, I know she's very tough. I know that she's not a quitter. You know, she's, you know, losing the fight, she's still looking for a way to win or something. So, you know, I know that I have to be prepared for that. I know I have to be prepared for 5 rounds regardless, but especially with her. But the thing is, you know, I have a lot of 5-round experience, so I don't know. I know how to prepare for that, and it makes me feel better that I have that time to do whatever it is that I got to do. But yeah, as soon as I get that opportunity to finish, I'm finishing.
And looking ahead at this year, I know you don't want to look past your opponent, but do you have some goals that you've set for yourself this year?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, becoming 2-division champion this year would be awesome, you know. But I know that's a very steep mountain to climb, and I know I have had some setbacks. So, you know, obviously I got to be realistic, but I do believe that that's very realistic, and anything's, you know, God willing, that's what's gonna happen. But yeah, I just got to take care of business this weekend, and yeah, that's what we'll do.
Thank you.
Hey, Rose.
Yeah.
I do want to ask, fighting the Apex. I think when we all saw your name fighting the Apex, we're like, whoa, Rose doesn't fight. She fights in front of crowds, arenas. I guess, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, the Apex it sort of resembles like the Ultimate Fighter feeling, you know, just like new and improved, obviously, and more modernized. But yeah, so I have experience with fighting in a quiet, you know, location. But obviously, I've grown accustomed to fighting in big crowds, and even though I used to hate it, I kind of grew to like it, and it's why we do what we do. But yeah, but I'm all willing to just, you know, let's fight in the gym, let's fight, you know, wherever in the backyard, it don't matter. Yeah.
Second fight at flyweight, how's your body feeling?
Yeah, my body's feeling great. You know, I definitely I put on more muscle for this fight. I'm around the same size as I was last time, but I'm just more filled in and more dense. And so, yeah, muscles are recovering. It definitely was a very intense training camp. But yeah, injury free and, healthy and immune system super strong. I think some of those weight cuts before kind of taxed my immune system a little bit sometimes. So I'm very thankful for the health.
When you said you wanted to be double champ a little bit earlier, does that mean go up to bantamweight, or does that mean go back down to strawweight? Or
Oh no, well because I guess if double champ means to hold it at the same time, I'm just trying to be 2-division champion. I don't know about holding it. that's like all in another universe. But to even think about, obviously, just the thought of doing this is exciting enough as it is. But I mean, I guess anything's possible.
So, is it safe to say your days at strawweight are done?
I just think like health-wise, to me, it's just not a healthy thing to do for me at this point. I don't know, I know that I could keep pushing through it. Like my mind got a lot stronger with cutting the weight, but I could tell my body was definitely not liking that as much. I could tell from like my last strawweight cut, my eyes were like sunken in, and that's like just kind of hard to see myself like that. And then, so even though like the will gets stronger, the flesh gets weaker. And so to me, it's like, I'm all about health and wellness, even though we're about to go and fight, but I want to preserve as much as possible.
Was it a tough decision to ultimately come to that decision? Because you have 2 wins over the current champion, right? So
no, not at all, because 2 wins is 2 wins. And so, that's I have that, if she moves up to flyweight, then that'd be great. I'll fight her a 3rd time. But to me, it's like, it's just, I'm very happy for her. I hope she holds the belt for a long time. And I think it's just a testament to, both of our skills. And, but I wish all the best for her. And yeah.
And finally, I just wanted to ask about next week. There's a big number 1 contender fight in your division. I just wanted to know who you think is going to win between Aaron and Manon.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards Aaron. I wouldn't be surprised if Manon finds a way to win. She's very good, but and she's a very interesting matchup for Aaron. But I just feel like the pace that Aaron puts out, she's very impressed me with that, and her tenacity, and she also really knows how to find ways to win. And I just think with our fight with Manon, I felt like she was kind of fading away at the end, and I think Aaron is just going to keep growing and I believe it's 5 rounds, so she'll probably account for that, but I'm leaning towards Aaron in this one.
Cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the move up, how you feel better in camp, you're healing better. Does that in turn make fight weeks and just fighting in general funner because you're feeling maybe stronger and healthier in general,
Yeah.
maybe not as much of a struggle?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely, it sometimes the weight cut, when it is a tough weight cut, it's kind of a distraction from the fight itself, because it's like, oh, this is the fight before the fight, and whatever. But you're right, it's a lot more enjoyable to eat food and to, just not fixated on it so much. But I think overall, I just feel more confident in being able to take head strikes. You know what I mean? Like if need be, obviously my defense gonna be on point. Yeah. But if something happens, it's like I know my brain's not as dehydrated. So I feel like that contributes to a lot of brain damage when you're dehydrating your brain and then getting punched.
And on the flip side, do you feel stronger? Do you think your strikes feel more powerful at this weight as well?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I feel more confidence in throwing harder too. Like I don't know if it's I would say I've been throwing a lot harder punches now.
And if you could, both of you have great ground games. Everybody knows that you're great at jiu-jitsu, and that fights, when it gets to the ground, it's always going to be exciting. Kind of rate her ground game, her jiu-jitsu, and how she does, and maybe her overall ground and pound.
Yeah, she has really, a good, she has good judo too, she has a good judo throw. She's got a good body lock takedown as well. And she likes to have a good top pressure. Sometimes if she's getting taken down, she throws up, a quick armbar or something like that, off the takedown. So I'm watching out for all of those things, and I'm prepared for all of those things. But definitely her top pressure and her, ability to, just hold somebody down and kind of grind it out and take their will from them. That's something that I've also taken into account, and I'm definitely prepared for that. So, I'm very impressed with her, but I also really believe in my abilities and in my ability to combat all that.
And you mentioned the experience. I mean, you've been in main events. You've had big title fights. This, I believe, is her first main event, and you talked about the experience. How much will that play into her mind, do you think, going into this fight week?
Yeah, we were just talking about that, like I believe, I don't know her personally, but I kind of have an idea of what it's like to be in a main event for the first time, to fight 5 rounds for the first time. And that was a long time ago for me. Yeah. A long time ago. And I knew how much pressure it was. And I knew, and even if like she might not think she's feeling it, I do also know that, we also tell ourselves things sometimes. And, but our bodies are feeling a different way, just like I was saying with the weight cuts and stuff. And so, I think that, she's, I don't know. We'll see how she handles it, but to me, I know how it feels, and it ain't easy.
And like you said, the body's feeling good. You could probably fight more times, but what's still the target? What's the perfect number of fights for your year? Is it 2 fights? Is it 3 fights if all the fights end sort of early? Or it seems like you've kind of settled into maybe 2 fights a year sort of thing.
Yeah.
Is that the key ideal number for you?
I always wanted to fight more times in a year, but just life happens. And not only that, but just being in such big fights, like the title fights, for some reason, being in a title fight to me always feels like a double fight. Like it's like double the amount of energy that goes into that fight. And so that, along with, outside life things happening, that time just passes by so quickly. So I wish I could fight like 3-4 times a year, but because I know this is a short-lived sport, and I know time goes on. I'm 31, I only have so much time left to do what it is that I want to do. So, but yeah, two times a year seems pretty average for me, and if we can do 3, that'd be awesome.
And last for me, I know obviously the goal you'd want the title is one of those things. But when you go in there and you sign the line to get on the fight, is it just about going out and enjoying that process each fight and just trying to have a good outcome from that fight, or is it about trying to get to that title shot? Is that the main goal, or is it just taking fight by fight to enjoy each fight as its own?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Like when I foresee, every year I kind of make yearly goals for myself, and I write them down, and but I don't think about those yearly goals every day. It's more, but I break those goals down into micro goals, and then, okay, what am I doing this week? What am I doing today? And it's just kind of like you just take each step and you build momentum and you build confidence each time you achieve those goals, and then all of a sudden you look back at the year and you're like, man, I accomplished all my goals, or almost all of them, and so that's how I do it.
That's awesome. So good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you. Cool. All right, thank you guys.
You're on vacation. We get it. It's hard to adjust that. You forgot to.
You're still on vacation for what?
Forgot to what?
You forgot to use hard. So it, hard.
You're gonna blame the audio guy on the first time.
Well, welcome back. How are you feeling?
Good. How you doing?
Good. So I know you were supposed to fight last month. Now you're fighting now. Can you talk to me a little bit about that change up, when you found out about it, and all the details there?
Definitely disheartening. Spent a lot of time, a lot of money, missed a lot of stuff. I had a birthday, had to skip, anniversary, had to skip, and didn't really get rewarded in that. So it was definitely, a punch to the stomach. But I obviously got this opportunity, so I was only sad for a few days.
Was part of that sadness obviously the pay and not being able to fight, but now you're not going to be fighting in front of a crowd. Was that part of it as well?
Yeah, that one hurt. If there was any time to kind of suck up an injury, it'd be that card. So definitely sad I missed out on that opportunity, but I mean that's the way things go. And I have this opportunity. I have a really good opponent in front of me, so I'm very excited.
Can you talk to me a little bit about how you were proposed for this fight? When did you know that this fight was happening? Was it like right when you knew that one was falling apart, or when in the timeline?
I think I got that fight maybe a week later. Yeah, so I took a week off, got my body together, and then was told about that fight. So I immediately jumped right back into camp.
You didn't get fat during that week? Because I know a lot of fighters eat and they think they're not going to have a fight for a while.
No, not at all. I think I may have lost weight.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get to end up celebrating the birthday and the anniversary, or is that still on hold?
No, not yet. Everything was on hold, so.
That's crazy. Is that hard when you're in a fight, knowing like all these sacrifices that you've given up? Does that put extra pressure on you to perform during that fight?
Yes and no, because you want it to be worth it. So you always want to get the win, when you make those sacrifices. But at the end of the day, it's part of the job. You can't really get to this level without sacrifices. So it's not really something I can brag about.
Talk to me about this opponent. What did you think when you got the name?
I was pretty excited. He's a guy that's headlined before. He's in the video game, so he has a really good team behind him. So it's a really good opportunity for me to show that my skills are up to par and I belong.
What sort of fight are you expecting from him?
I think this is going to be the best Edmen ever. People can look at his record and say whatever they want, but he's still a part of a really good team. He's been putting in work. He's got to see that champion level camp with Sean. So I think I'm going to get the best Edmen, and I'm prepared for that.
And I know you don't want to look too far past this opponent, but do you have goals for 2024 that you're setting?
Absolutely. I want to, make my mark, let it be known that I'm here in the 85 division, and work my way through the ranks. And I think this fight with Edmen is going to be a great opportunity to showcase that.
And last one for me, just a silly one. I'm not sure if you realize there's a new sponsor, SheerTex, which is they make tights, and I'm just curious. Have you requested your free pair of tights yet?
I actually not yet, but if they're sponsored by, or if they're sponsoring the UFC, I'm sure they're really good. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jay, just a quick one. Obviously, you don't train with Mark Coleman anymore, but I just wanted to know your thoughts on, Mark and his just how much of a hero he is.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you what kind of guy Mark Coleman is. I was very scared, especially seeing those pictures of him with the tubes and everything like that. But, hearing the story, saved his parents and, couldn't really save his dog, lost his childhood home. So, very unfortunate for such a legend, but it shows the character of that guy. He came in, he saved his parents, he went in to save his dog, So I have no problem. Me and Coleman are still really cool, even though, he trains at the gym that I don't train at anymore. But I just wish nothing but the best for Coleman. And, I just hope he comes out of this better. And I know he will. We all know he will. So
Thanks, man.
thank you.
Just a quick one. Your keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure you get your hands raised on Saturday?
Put the pressure on him. Make sure I'm going forward. Make sure I'm dictating the pace. Take away his weapons and impose my will.
What do you see as his biggest weapons? I know a lot of people think his striking's good, but he's no slouch on the ground as well. Where do you see as his biggest dangerous part?
His biggest danger is kind of getting guys to fight at his rhythm. Anytime that he's lost is when guys disrupt his rhythm, put him on the back foot, and make him uncomfortable in there. He's the type of guy that likes to be pretty and likes to kind of, show flashy stuff. So if you kind of stay in his face and make it a fight, you have a better chance. So that's the plan for this weekend.
Is that the kind of fight you like? Do you like to take it to your opponent and really push the pace on him?
Oh, yeah, and it's not me being a tough guy. It's more anxiety than anything else. I want to get the fight going right now, So, I'm going to be in his face, in his chest, and I'm going to be in there.
It's funny. We hear fighters sometimes, come back and complain. They say, I just couldn't get going. What do you do right before the fight to get you ready so that you can go 0 to 100, right, when the fight starts?
The biggest thing is not burning out, not getting too jacked, not listening to too crazy music, staying calm until it's time to be not calm, So that's been the biggest thing for me, just staying calm, staying, in a good mindset. And then when it's time for chaos, let chaos go. So.
Now I'm interested to see what's your walkout song going to be. What's your walkout song going to be?
The same one as last, Everything Nice by Popcorn. A nice, calm, cool song to get me nice and calm walking up to the cage, and then right when I get in there, right when I see him, that's when I can turn it on.
That's awesome. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Why not Tafa? Aren't you guys like partners? What? You guys work on the same site? No. Don't try to make it something I do like a good enough. That I'm not trying to remember it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then lower that. Yeah. If it's not something you normally see, it might not be part of that. Normally, on one of the pages, you will upload it to this little checkbox. This enable content ID. XD group, then you click.
You're asking a lot of questions there.
No, I do. Just give me the card back.
Should have just stayed on vacation, Alex.
water's expensive, bro. I'm taking it back to the hotel, man.
I thought you were hiding it so that it wouldn't be on camera, but I'm like, there's one there and you can't see.
No.
You're just stealing water.
I'm just stealing water.
Hotels are expensive.
Bro, telling me.
So it's been a little confusing few months for you and your brother. Can you talk to me a little bit about just the mix, not the mix up, but the change with your fight and now the change with his fight? Just talk to me a little bit about that process.
Yeah, it's just like old times, you know, back at the playground. Sometimes I'm not ready to fight, so my brother goes and steps in and fights for me.
Did you kind of know that this was going to happen when he stepped in for you? Did he already have this fight booked? Was it kind of a swapping, or was this just completely coincidental that now he needs you?
It was just coincidental. You know, we were really confident that my brother could have put De Lima away. You know, I've seen my brother knock out top 10 heavyweight boxers, and after going out on a bender, you know what I mean. So, man, he can knock anyone out in any given night. So we weren't planning on him not taking this fight. So when we went back to Australia, we seen the severity of his injury, and I told him, man, I'll go and check myself, and if they say I'm ready, I could be ready by a fight night, I'll take the fight and do a solid for him.
What kind of advice did he give you for this opponent, and what advice did you give him for that opponent?
Not much. We always share thoughts during camp, and we're obviously both in camp anyway, so a lot of things we already knew, kind of thing. We just had to change it, you know, for the relevant fighter.
Are you always going to make sure that you're not fighting on the same card so you can always be each other's backup for the rest of your career?
Who knows? What if both our opponents pull out? We'll fight each other on that same night.
Would you?
Of course, man, and I have to win. I'm the older brother.
I was just going to say who would win. How would that fight go? How many times have you guys actually fought legitimately?
Not too many, actually. You know, me and Junior, I got 3 brothers, and we're usually the ones. I usually used to just bash them back in the days, but now he'll probably get it over me.
How do you see that fight going with you and your brother? How would he win? How would you win?
I could beat him anyway. Nah. He'll probably ankle lock me or something, you know. Walls of Jericho or something.
What do you think of your opponent?
Yeah, I think he's a good fighter, Karl Williams. You know, he's good at what he does. Heavy grappling style, so yeah.
How do you expect this fight going? Do you see it going the full 3 rounds, or do you think you can get in and out of there pretty quick?
I feel like I'm gonna get to showcase, you know, my all-round game. I keep saying this every fight, but I think this fight will definitely show like all the grappling I've been doing. You know, I hope it's all not in vain. But I think I'll put them away maybe late in the first or second.
Looking ahead, I know you don't want to look too far past an opponent, but what kind of goals have you set for yourself for this year?
By the end of this year, I really want to be in the top 15, knocking onto the top 10. Like I said before, obviously De Lima was a ranked opponent, and that was my plan to knock him out and then look for another guy there just above the top 10 and then hopefully make my way down. But yeah, hopefully like knocking on the top 10.
Last question for me. There's a new sponsor behind you, SheerTex, which I'm not sure if you're aware, but that's tights. So I'm just curious, have you requested your free pair of tights yet?
I can never fit the tights, man. You see my legs? These are tree trunks, man. Unless they got someone's that fit me, I will. But I'm all for the freebies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Justin, what the hell happened at UFC 298?
Pardon?
What happened at UFC 298? Like during the weigh-ins? Like, so did you injure your knee prior to that week, or was it during like fight week that?
Yeah, no, I think it was during fight week on the Tuesday. Honestly, it's hard. I kind of put it down to just the body just not being right with the travel. I think we got in on Monday. Man, if we fly like 15 hours, then another 2 hours or something, when you're my body sitting in the middle seat, you know what I mean? My shoulders are touching each other, and then I have to go out and try to fight, man. My body just wasn't right, and we learned from that, you know, like really got to make sure all the muscles and everything have all been stretched out rather than just sitting in the seat. You know, I can barely fit in the plain toilets, bro, so.
How disappointing was it, right? Like you already mentioned, he was your ticket into the top 15. You traveled all that way. It was a big pay-per-view, big fight. Just how disappointing were you?
Yeah, very disappointed. You know what I mean? When you fight in early Feb, it means you got to go into camp during Christmas and New Year's, and it was my birthday. My birthday's in December. My son's birthday, my father's birthday, and my partner's birthday all in December. You know what I mean? So I miss everything because all my thoughts are on my opponent. You know, I'm prison, but I'm not prison. So I feel like I've been in camp for almost 4 months. So I'm just ready to go in there and just show all the training I've done.
So are you going to celebrate all those birthdays after this fight?
Honestly, I want to stay active, man. I want to fight in soon, yeah.
Gotcha. And then finally for me, what do you say to all the people that don't like pineapple on their pizza?
Oh man, I didn't get it, man. Extra pineapple on a Hawaiian pizza, bro. Come on. Appreciate it, bro.
How's a big guy like you not win the battle of the middle seats, getting the armrests?
Man, I had 2 old ladies next to me, and I'm just like, damn, man. Anyone else, I would just freaking. But they're like, oh, hey, young man. I'm like, oh, you got me already. Here, I have my Tim Tams that they gave me. You can have oh.
That's got to be rough. You're too polite.
Man, it's the elderly people, you know. You got to share respect.
When you spoke about the travel and coming over here, granted, it's not the T-Mobile. There's not going to be a lot of fans, but you travel a long distance to come to the Apex. Is it still special coming over here, flying over to Vegas and fighting in the Apex here?
Always fighting for the UFC is always a blessing, man. It's the pinnacle of sport. Whether there's 50,000 people or no one, you know, it's still fighting the best guys in the world and showcasing all that I have to offer.
And you've always been a crowd favorite. Is there always like a big gathering back home of people watching your fights?
Yeah, man. Both my parents are like 1 or 13 plus, you know, so I got heaps of cousins that always sit there and watch early hours of the morning or whatever time that on a Sunday in Australia and New Zealand and Samoa, and I always feel that support.
I love it. Last for me, your keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure that you get your arm raised on Saturday?
I think I just need to focus on myself, just stick to the game plan that we have, just stay patient. You know, I don't chase the knockouts come, so every time I've tried to chase the knockouts, they just don't seem to come. So I've kind of matured throughout my career, and I'm learning what's good for me and what's not, and I get to showcase that again on Saturday.
And I forgot, when you said that you've been working on your game plan, and you said that you want to showcase your grappling. I mean, there's nothing that people enjoy more than 2 heavyweights grappling, you know. So is that really something? I mean, do you feel like you want to showcase more? Do you feel like as a heavyweight you don't get to showcase more?
You got me, bro. You got me. I was just talking shit. Nah. I don't want to showcase too much grappling where it's just one of those hugging for 15 minutes, but I want to showcase that I can negate the wrestling if I need to, and I can you know, use offensive wrestling if I need to, or grappling if I need to. But ultimately, my plan is not just to go in there and lay and pray.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you, bro. Cheers.
call them pantyhose, not tights. think that whole time for I couldn't think of another Alexander. Alexander Volkanovski? Alexander Pereira? Pereira? I can never say his name right. Who else are there? Alexander the Great? Alexia from Real Housewives of Miami?
I was thinking about the other day, what's the show that you and Heidi are always talking about?
Love is Blind.
On Netflix?
Yeah, Love is Blind.
Hi guys.
I gotta ask about the sweatshirt because you were not a loser. So I'm wondering, what is there a meaning behind this sweatshirt?
You don't like it?
No, I like it. I'm just curious what's the story?
It's just a cool sweater.
You're not worried you're giving yourself a jinx?
No, not at all. It's just a sweater, but yeah, it's a funny play on words.
So speaking of that undefeated record, does the pressure get worse as your record builds and builds and builds, or is it a little bit less because now you're kind of comfortable with winning?
I think it lessens because I'm comfortable with winning, and you've seen a lot of my fights, or people that have know that I've faced a lot of adversity, and I have lost rounds. I have lost some street fights, so I know how to lose and come back.
And I know this is going to sound like a silly question because nobody wants to lose, but there's always that saying that when you lose, you learn something. So is there any fear that, this might be too easy for you and you aren't going to improve because you're not being tested? Or do you feel like you are being tested even in those wins?
No, I think I'm being tested. I lose all the time in the training room. So that's where I get a lot of my lessons. And I've lost a lot throughout life. But I wasn't super happy with my last performance, but I think I really got tested with my last opponent because it was just like a stylistic nightmare for me, and I still came out with the win. So,
do you also think that maybe people like us pay too much attention to that record, having that undefeated record?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of frauds that are undefeated. Like, I think there's a lot of guys that, haven't been tested. So I always understand the suspicion, and I am beatable. Everybody is. But you got to look at the regional scene because I'm only 1-0 in the UFC.
Can you talk to me a little bit about your opponent? What are you expecting from him?
I expect a dogfight, and I expect him to be pretty durable, and I think we're going to have to go into some really deep waters to get a definitive winner.
Were you excited when you got the name, or was it a little...
Yeah, super excited. I had a couple choices, and I picked him, in a heartbeat.
Can you tell us who the other choices were?
I don't even remember, honestly. I just didn't I was like, those guys aren't going to bring it as hard.
And you said you think it's going to be a dogfight. Do you feel like it's going to go the full 3 rounds?
I definitely could, but I don't think so. I'm pretty confident the way that both of us fight, it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of strikes thrown, and we're going to clash a lot. So I think one of us is going to get put out one way or another.
And I know most people don't want to look too far past their opponent, but do you have goals for this year that you've already set for yourself?
Now, if I'm healthy, I'd like to compete once or twice more at least, and do some traveling and enjoy myself.
Is there a venue you'd particularly like to fight in?
Yeah, I'd like to fight in an arena. I've never even been to a UFC event. The only ones I've been to are mine, so I don't really have any context, but I'd like to fight for a crowd.
Is there a reason you haven't been to a fight? Because I've heard some fighters say they don't want to go until it's their fight, or it just hasn't happened.
No, just hasn't happened.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Payton, just a quick one. What do you think of Sean O'Malley's win at UFC 299?
That was impressive. I knew he was going to win, but I didn't think he was going to look that great, or just as good as he did. But I don't know how Cheetah Cheeto stayed standing up. But his movement and everything has just gotten a lot better, and he just put a showcase on how much he's improved.
Thanks, man.
Payton, I just want to ask, now you're at that point, you had your first UFC fight. Seems like the promotion's pushing you really hard. Has your life changed in any type of way? I know you're still training, getting beat up by your training partners at times, but have you noticed anything different about your life?
No, not too much. I feel like I prioritize my career more, and I've definitely put a lot of more time into that, as well as just like expression of what I want to put out on the internet and everything. But everything else has pretty much been the same.
Have you had anybody, at the supermarket or anything, and they're like, hey, are you Payton Talbot?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah? Was that happening before the UFC or?
No, not really. It was after my first win is when it's gotten a lot more, like there's just been more people that notice me, but yeah.
And is this something, you think about a lot when one day, the big money does come, the fame, not to really lose yourself in this process?
A little bit. I mean, the money is going to change me. Like, I'll just tell you right now. But I'll still be myself, and I'll have my core values and try to compete as much as possible. But I'm not worried about it. I don't think I'm going to change into a terrible person.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to not change a little bit when you got cool cars and clothes eventually, right?
Hell yeah.
That's all I got. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
What was the first thing that you're going to buy when you realize you've arrived money-wise? Like, oh, when I can buy a Ferrari, I'm set, or a yacht or something?
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe property or a Cybertruck or something. I don't know. It's something I can have fun with.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was one time I wanted to ask him. Does he want to go to MMA?
Yeah, that's where I was headed with that question.
Like, would he want to go to 300?
Well, sometimes I think of the question and then I'm like, shit.
Guys, I got Youssef Zalal for you.
You're back.
I'm back.
Man, what are the emotions like? Knowing that you're back, knowing that you had to grind to get back, right?
Yeah, man, I was just telling Miguel just now, actually. I was supposed to be in the Ultimate Fighter, and I got the news that, hey, I'm the alternate and all this stuff. So it was kind of like, you're like, man, I did all this work to be on this show, to showcase my skills against the best in the world, especially bringing a talent, international talent and all this stuff. So for me, I was ready to really showcase my skills in a 4 weeks period, and fight 2 times in that 4 weeks and all that stuff. So yeah, man, I'm definitely, there's a lot of hard work behind it, but obviously the journey continues, and I'm very happy that I get the opportunity, the second opportunity. Not a lot of people get the second opportunity, but I feel like the most people that get the second opportunity to make the best out of it, like Brandon Moreno and all those guys. So I'm very excited to not just showcase my skills and to showcase my hard work that I actually know what I'm capable of.
Can you talk about being cut the first time? Like, I think everyone, you look at your first UFC runner, like, all right, you're really the only person besides Josh Emmett to go to a decision with Topuria. Then you get released off a draw, and then your 2 other fights you win and lost. So it's like, it was kind of a weird situation, right? Like, what were the emotions like when you got the news that you were released?
Oh man, they're terrible. The news is it's one of the worst news you can get, to be honest. Especially like as being a fighter, and like I said, that was. By the way, Ilya Topuria had his hardest matchup was me. Josh Emmett was not a hard matchup. That was an easy matchup. If you get 10-7, let's not talk about that, right? But If it was wrestling, that's a whole different story. But you get 10-7 in a striking matchup. I don't know about that, right? But I'm the toughest matchup. And Damon, I did not lose that fight. If you watch that fight, I did not lose that fight. So I'll stick by that, and I will stick by that. I'm like the Sean O'Malley of this division now. I have that one loss. I'm like, okay, that's just 4 losses. That's it, not 5. So, I mean, the 5, not the draw. Take that draw out of my record. Add that to my win. So that was that, you know. But it's definitely heartbroken, man. It's like I said, it's like, I said this before. I was like fighting not to embarrass myself. You know, I was not fighting to my full potential, and I was not fighting me, like being Youssef Zalal, you know. And I feel like experience taught me that, and then the life in general taught me that as well, you know. And I'm very happy that I actually got kicked out of the UFC, because I think I unlocked a whole different like mode, to be honest, that I know I'm capable of, because I know I'm one of the best in the world, you know. And to look at it, like you said, Ilya Taporia, he's out here finishing guys that's 16-0 in the featherweight division. That's one of the best, the greatest featherweight fighter of all time. One of my favorite fighters, by the way. And I was heartbroken when he beat him up, by the way. So I want to keep that out there. But yeah, man, like you said, it's definitely heartbroken. But I have a good team around me and a good people around me to really keep me in line and really focus on who really I am, you know. And that's the most important part. I feel like I'm just figuring out who I am as a man. I'm figuring out who I am as an MMA fighter, and I want to be in the best in the world, and I will be a world champion.
So then you go back to the regional scene. You're starting people in the first round, fight 3 times in a night. It's very obvious you're too good to be on the regional scene, but you're not getting that call. Like, were you losing hope, or were you just like, it's only gonna be a matter of time? Like what was the mindset?
Oh, for sure I was losing hope, man. It was like I had to like really dig deep down in my faith and everything that I believe in. You know, that was the toughest part. But obviously life, it teaches you experience, right? Which is a beautiful thing. But man, that the whole 3 fights in one night, like, holy shit, like, that's crazy. Yeah, like, you know, I never done stuff like that before. My teammates done it before, like Dustin Jacoby, he done it for Glory Kickboxing, and he did the Sparta King as well. So, and that was a whole roller coaster. And like I said, I'm glad that I experienced that and to have that in my back pocket. But I'm never doing that shit again, I'll tell you that.
You know, now you're back. You get Billy Q, fan favorite. On paper, it's a very fun fight. How do you see the matchup going?
Like you said, it's a fun fight, great fight. You know, I feel like I've been to a lot of wars in the gym, especially with my teammates. One of them is right here, actually, David Dunama. So I feel like I've seen stuff like that, you know. And like you said, he's a fan favorite, you know. So people love to watch him fight. And no matter what, it's either going to be fight of the night or performance of the night or something with that guy. So it gets me out of my seat. It really gets me excited to show, like, hey, like, really test. Do you want to be the best in the world? Well, here, you got a tough opportunity in front of you to really showcase that, you know, not just IQ-wise, not just conditioning-wise, just in general and fighting in general. Like, I get to showcase my whole skills.
You've said in several interviews that you're much more mature this time around. What do you mean by that?
Well, if you watch me fight, I just did an interview not too long ago, you know, like, I feel like I have a chip on my shoulder, you know. I feel like I want to prove to these kids that, like, failure can turn to greatness, you know. I feel like sometimes we dwell over failure and go cry about it and all this. This is a fucking brutal sport, you know. This is the highs and lows of lows, you know. But you win one time, everybody loves you. And then you lose one time, they'll be like, well, man, you were the worst MMA fighter I saw and all this stuff, you know. So it's definitely hard, you know, just to go over that mental hump. That was one of the hardest things. But again, you'll see what I'm talking about with the maturity and just the confidence of the style and the changes and all that stuff. I'm very excited for the phase 2, and I'm very excited for Youssef Zalal 2.0.
How do you get your hand raised on Saturday?
Oh, man, I seen so many ways in this fight, man. I feel like me going to war with him, me finishing him with submissions, me finishing with a TKO, KO, I don't know. He's hard to knock out, man. He have a hard head. I don't know. I feel like I'm Moroccan, too, so I got a hard head, too. So we'll find out on Saturday night. It's going to be an exciting fight.
And finally, for me, since you've been away, your guy, Markel Medeiros, is now in the UFC. How excited were you to see that?
Oh, man, that's my boy, man. I was so happy for him, man. Not a lot of people know. So, like, I was with Factory X, and I was teaching the class. I was teaching him the striking, and then he joined the team, and like, wow, man, look at him. He's literally one of the best in the team. So I'm very happy for that kid, and he deserves it. And I can't wait to see him get back. Hopefully he gets that call for June.
When is Louis Goulet going to get in the UFC?
Hey, man, I'm gonna push for my boy. That, if you watch that style, man, come on, man. How can you not have that style in the UFC, man? That's one of the most exciting guys in the whole world.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I'm just verifying your potentially incorrect information.
Whoa, sheer text girl.
Sure, text girl. I stopped asking after Justin. The answers were not that great. They weren't playing around enough. She wears short shorts.
I didn't have my ears in during that one, but I looked at the levels. He was fucking loud.
Everybody's been
He was really loud.
I think these sugar cookies are left over from the weekend because they're hard as a rock. They're like that media. They don't care about fresh cookies.
They're like Amy's fresh enough for spoiled cookies.
Amy's fresh enough for everybody.
you haven't watched the new one. I did the same thing. It's been so long I had to rewatch the first one. I think I've watched every version of the new movie that's came out. There's been like multiple versions of that thing.
Hey, there's another Alex we like better than this Alex. We're listing all kinds of Alexes.
Hey, brother, how are you?
How are you? Good to see you.
Hello to everyone.
Does this fight week feel different for you?
Yes, for sure. Since my first time that I signed the UFC poster, I was imagining my face there. And yesterday I signed with my face. And since the first day at the camp, I was, okay, the time is now. You're doing the main event, so let's go.
Does the feeling add a little bit of pressure, or is it almost less pressure because you kind of feel like I'm here, I'm the main event, I'm someone. So maybe there's a little less pressure with that.
Yes, for sure, because I put so much pressure on me on the training. So in the fight week, for me is, whew, we are here. All the job are done. So now you need to enjoy and focus what you trained for.
Was your fight camp all that different than what you've been preparing for in every other fight? I know that you're potentially fighting 5 rounds, but how much did your training camp differ from some of your others?
All camp is different because it's different fighters, and it is a different Amanda Ribas too. So all camp is different because of that, and in this is special because it is a main event. So I trained more to be prepared to do a 5 rounds of war if needed.
Do you anticipate it going 5 rounds with Rose, or do you feel like this is going to be kind of a quick one for you guys?
I'm prepared for all, to do or 5 rounds or to the end in the beginning. I hope I'm trained for to do a really war and a fight, really good fight to fans enjoy and say, okay, this deserves to be a main event.
What sort of fight are you expecting from her?
I always put on my mind that I will face off the best of Rose Namajunas ever, because I'm training for the best of her. If comes something not like this, I'm prepared.
Is there a little bit of excitement with it being her that you're standing across the octagon from, former champion and icon of the sport? When you got the name, what sort of feelings did you first feel?
I was like, oh my goodness, look against who I will fight. And then I put in my mind, at the moment that I signed the contract, that feeling stopped. And that's what I did. My dad said to me one time, if you want to be a legend, you need to beat off one. And now it's my time.
What about the build up to this fight? Have the two of you interacted at all on social media, or have you seen each other, at the hotel or anything like that?
No, you believe that? I never saw her in the hotel this time, and we didn't interact.
Do you anticipate there being any kind of animosity between the two of you, or do you feel like it's going to be a respectful face-off?
I think we'll be respectful, but you guys know, fighter is a little crazy. All fighters it is. So maybe, I don't know if happens something, but I think will be a good one.
And I know you don't want to look past Rose, but what are the goals that you have set for yourself for 2024?
I really enjoyed my last year that I did 3 fights. So this year I hope I can do 3 fights too. I like to be active inside the octagon, and I hope if I win, if God bless me with that, I can do top 5 and maybe go to the belt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Amanda, after your last win, you said strawweight division, I'm back. Well, you're back in the flyweight division. What happened? Was it just like too good of an opportunity to pass up?
Yes, I said that. And I'm ranking in both divisions. I'm number 7 strawweight and 8 in flyweight. So for me, what huge opportunity was this to fight against Rose, and I accepted. At the moment the UFC said, I accepted, and I will still fight in both divisions, but strawweight, I'm back.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
She's had a lot of experience in big fights with, main events and 5 rounds. This is going to be, I believe, your first headline event, especially at least for the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Are you confident that you won't have the nerves that going in there, that fight night when it comes time, that you're going to be ready to go? Or do you think there's a possibility that there might be some nerves?
I already did 5 rounds, but not in the UFC. I train so hard. I truly train a lot. So for me, here is like the peace. I like this vibe. I like to vibe inside the octagon. So when I'm here, I'm relaxful. And even when I feel a little nervous, I will try to change my mindset. My therapist, she is really good. She adapted me to do that, and I hope I can do it.
Does she give you a sort of mantra or thing that you say to yourself before you go out into the fight, or is it just an overall mindset that you carry?
I always do a homework with her, and to try when the bad feelings, bad thinkings comes, you need to change. And this change, I always working on that to be peaceful, to be calm, because I am type of person, there is a lot of energy. If I push more energy for myself, is not be good, so I always try to relax and enjoy.
And it would seem that a victory over Rose would probably be the biggest win of your career. Is a victory enough, or do you really want to go out there and get a submission or get a knockout? Do you really want to finish, or is just a win enough?
Before I am a UFC fighter, I am a UFC fan. And I like to watch fights that ends with submission or a knockout. So in all my fights, I try to do that because for me as a fan, it's better to watch. And for me as a fighter, it's better to get a bonus.
And that's for me. I know in the past you took in some of your fight money to create a community building or something to help with the kids in the area. Is that still going on, and how's the progress with that?
Yes. After my last fight, I did that. And I already started with the free classes at my gym, but this was not my goal. I was talking with my lawyers to create an institute, and in my mind, it is huge. So I need to conquer it first. At the beginning, we are at my gym, but it's not what I want, and will happen.
Well, some bonus money would certainly help with that, right?
I hope I receive this.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
One more quick one. Who are you taking next week in the main event between Aaron Blanchfield and Manon Farrell?
Between what?
Who do you think is going to win between Aaron Blanchfield and Manon Farrell next week?
Ooh, good question. I think Manon. Yeah, I think that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
disgusting. That is so. I googled it.
She did not Google, she spoke from experience.
Is it really? It's on Aries
Yeah.
already.
It's low, but I'm sure. Amanda was the last one here, right? I thought the Girl Scout cookies was all done, and I saw that the other day, or 2 days back, they did like a last ditch, like, selling like different places, and then mint.
Oh, no. Their most robust seller, buyer, missed his chance at Girl Scout cookies.
Thin Mint Fix.
Do you know that Costco has Girl Scout Thin Mint brand little bites? They're like circular little bites that are, they're basically Thin Mints just rolled into balls, but they're Girl Scout brand. I bought them. They're so good. Exactly like it. And it was like
That's fine.
$6.
Sorry for like a little box.
I don't know, it's big. It's a big bag, it's like this big.
Really? Yeah, next time you go.
Yeah. They may be seasonal, so they may not have them next time I go, but I will look. I'll bring a bag of them to eat.
But it says buy them.
Yeah, look, I'll show you. You want a lot of sponsorship, don't you?
I don't even know how this thing works. I just see everybody take them off, so I was like, I just put them up. I do the opposite. I don't even know what it does.
It really does nothing. It's just, yeah. But now you're doing a lot of nothing.
Anyway, so.
Yeah. So welcome back. It's been a bit since we've seen you. Can you kind of tell me what you've been up to?
Had surgery and then recovery, and then I was trying to fight in December, but powers that be knows better, so I wasn't able to. So now we got booked for March, and it's fight week.
Was there any time during that amount of time that you were feeling negative about, the way your life was going in terms of like, hey, I don't have a fight, I don't know when I'm going to fight? How did you remain positive during that time?
I did a lot of stuff I wasn't supposed to do. So after the surgery, I went and built a fence, redid my bathroom, redid my closet, which ended up making me have to take longer time off because I ended up messing up my surgery because of that. So as far as the beginning of the question, when you don't have anything lined up and you don't have, it's like, you ever been on too long of a vacation and you're like, all right, you hate your job. Well, I don't hate my job, but you want the vacation and you get on the vacation, it lasts too long and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go back home. So that's how it is. And taking that time off, especially with the injury, not knowing when you're going to come back, even once you get cleared from the doctors, you don't know when you're going to get booked. The weight class moves the way it moves. So stay busy in your yard, but not very much right after surgery.
When you said you were up to no good, my mind immediately went to like illegal activities.
And
you were saying like redoing your bathroom, like that's great.
I did a very good fence. If anybody need a fence built, I got you.
How long did it take to build a fence?
The fence took us 2 weeks.
Wow. Did you have to build it like from the fence pieces, or did you order the fence pieces and put them up?
No, so I got quoted $13,000 for the fence. Exactly, see? That's why I did it myself. So then I went and bought the premium nice wood. It was like $2.94 a picket. So ripped up the old ones, got some concrete bags, did pole to post, did everything from scratch. Yeah, because if you go by the pre-made, they're all damaged sometimes, this and the third. And then my yard the previous person did it kind of weird, wasn't a good person. So, that's when the original house. So yeah, so I ended up having to like custom make certain sections, this one longer, this one shorter, so yeah.
So you may have a career in fencing when you're done with fighting.
Fencing or trucking, one of the two. I got backup plans.
So can you talk to me a little bit about when you heard the name, we heard the day, what kind of feelings did you feel when you finally had that fight set?
Oh, I was just excited. I messed up because my wife told me, she was like, hey, I'm going on vacation these days. And as us husbands always do, we hear it. Our calendar mind don't really put it into perspective. So that Sunday, I was like, yeah, go ahead, book the trip, XYZ. I'll talk to my management, and we'll have something, we'll book around it. And then Thursday, I get the call, and I'm all excited. I'm like, okay, finally, I got something. And I was like, oh, shoot. That's a vacation day. But very excited because I've been back training since October because I was hoping for the December fight, something in December. So I'm just staying ready. So when they finally called me, I'm like, okay, now we can switch gears from just like maintaining or getting back to a certain point to now let's push for a date for the March 23rd.
So is she on vacation right now?
Tomorrow. She's going to London.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah, I got in a lot of trouble for this one.
But was she always going to go without you?
Yeah, her best friend had a birthday trip already planned months ahead, and she was holding off for me since like December, and they already planned it, so she's holding off for me up until the Friday before they booked me on Sunday. So we found out, I was like, look, I don't think I'm getting anything anytime soon. Just go ahead and book it. And she booked it, and then I was like, and then she's already now like Sunday so she's like $3,000 deep and it's non-refundable. So I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna make this one.
So does she always come to your fights?
Always, yes, ma'am.
So this might be a little bit of a relief because now she's off. You don't have to worry about entertaining her during fight week. She's doing her thing, right?
Yeah, but I'm messing up the schedule. I'm bad. I need the help. Me on my own ain't too good, so yeah. I'm missing that extra helping hand, so I'm making through. It's been rough.
So can you talk to me about your opponent? What do you know about him, and what kind of fight are you expecting?
He's a brawler. He comes to put people to sleep, so I'm expecting to be moving a lot because that's how their fighting style is. You know, you see a lot of the Samoans. Ty just fought. They're coming out. They're trying to put hands on you.
So he mentioned that he really wants to do some grappling, show off his grappling. Is that something you kind of thought he might be doing this time, or am I telling you some secret you don't know? You never know, because some people are grapplers and then they strike as they do what they're not good at. And that way, if you do grapple with them, now it's like, oh shoot, this person knows what they're doing. So he might be have some tricks up his sleeve. You never know. I don't trust people in MMA because you never know. I was helping Jamal pose for his fight recently, and he started, and we talk a lot, and it started clicking. I was like, wait, you've been doing jiu-jitsu and wrestling since like 13, especially jiu-jitsu since like his teenage years. And I'm like, I just started jiu-jitsu like not too long ago. So you never know people's history. Like, and then you kind of look at him as a kickboxer, a striker, but he's been doing jiu-jitsu and grappling a long time. Even like Strickland. Strickland has very good grappling, but he tries to hit you. Well, Sean Strickland's a totally different
he
person.
He like the man dance, you know.
So, I know you don't want to look too far past your opponent, but do you have goals for this year? Do you want to stay active? Do you have a certain number of fights? Do you have any location you'd like to fight out looking at 2024?
Definitely staying active. That's always the goal. Where I just want to go out, to fly me somewhere. I told, biggest thing for me is fight, but fly me out. I want to be like the Instagram people where they get flown out places. I just fight for the different exchange. So fly me anywhere. I'm ready to go. I got a passport. I've been waiting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Karl.
Yes, sir.
When you get booked against Junior Tafa and then Justin Tafa steps in, are you expecting another Tafa sibling to fight on Saturday? Or
I think they're out of kids, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many siblings he has, but 3. Dang, see, I got 2 sisters. I don't know, but my older sister, she could probably jump in there for me. But when it happened, I understand Junior's decision to help his brother out. Helps the team as far as team management, everything as far as how it looks with the UFC. And I did the same thing for Chris Barnett last year. So I definitely understand it. If you're in the camp, you know what's going on, something happens, and you're trying to help your teammate. I was like, I'll jump in, So I definitely understand it. No feelings about it. And after the fight, watching how it goes, sadly, I was hoping that he won. That way, he'll have the number 15 on his name, and then we fight, and then, it'll make a lot crazier storyline. So I was hoping for him to win, and then watching how the fight went, it is an MMA game, saw how it went. But once I saw the fight, I was like, most likely I'm going to be fighting the brother. You can't recover that fast from them kicks. Even if he's ready this week, he probably wouldn't have been able to practice in the right amount of time to have a fight like that, So
you're expecting to fight Justin?
Yeah, I was expecting it. Yes, sir.
How's it been training in Las Vegas?
Amazing. The PI has been wonderful. And then I'm at Extreme Couture. The bodies that are in there, the coaching that's there has definitely elevated my game. So being able to work with people your size and then have coaches right there helping you as you go. So yeah.
You trying to relocate to Vegas?
Yes, this summer I'm actually relocating because I've been here since October and I only go home on the weekends. So, and my kids are missing me. It's been rough.
So you're gonna bring the whole family out?
Yes, her whole family this summer. Yes, sir.
Are you gonna bring the fence too?
Sadly, I gotta leave the fence. We're keeping the house, so we're keeping the house just in case. But you gotta do concrete fences, concrete walls. So I'll probably build one of those out here too.
Gotcha. And then finally, when is Baby Goose getting into the UFC?
Please, please help me get him in here. He knows his stuff. So Reese Wilkins, I think is his last name. Watkins, yeah. A teammate of mine, he's trying to, he's been out here training as well. He helped a few guys at Extreme with their fight camps and also just training. But we're hoping, please, like he's gonna make a big wave. Like I'm making little puddles in the stuff. That guy, he doesn't talk, so he's quiet, but he'll put you to sleep in a heartbeat. Now that's the guy, yeah. I'm just out here like, do. Now this guy's like, boom, puddle. Yes. Sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Nope. All right, thank you guys.
The next person probably take all of them.
Well, Justin took them, but he took them back with him because he said that the water's so expensive, so he took them all. That's what I said.
Oh man,
See, there is free water.
yeah, but you gotta get it from like a nutrition.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah. He just has to ask the right person.
Don't water shame Tafa.
Was it Justin? I called him Justin.
Of course, so they have the green. Nobody's really asking questions, so I want to ask a question. They're like, hey, hop on, don't be shy. I was like, I'm fine, I can't do this right now.
Are you gonna talk to? And I can share that to Abby, right? That me and him will eventually go into. No, I was definitely surprised, but yeah, no, that would have helped. You know, whenever, like I said, whenever you have those things, I just assumed like it was going to be like a big work thing, and that maybe we'd lose Nate, and we kind of did, but didn't. I mean, he's going in the chrome gold row, so I mean that's still good. So it could still be a resource. But no, I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate Christine saying that. That was my main thing. I was like, dude, now we're going to go through this big growth chart. There goes the possibility of moving up, because now we're just going to get stuck in this void of whatever, you know. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that'd be great. Evan's a great dude. I like Evan a lot. Was that because they were looking at for like what impact would happen if they took people away from the game? Oh, hey. I'm sorry, we had a party coming in. I'll double back with you. I appreciate the input. All right. Yep.
Hi guys.
Hey Cameron, how's it going?
Good. Yeah, awesome.
So obviously last time we saw you, had your first loss on your record. What were some takeaways when you got to go back and watch the film and kind of just rewatch it?
Yeah, it was a tough pill to swallow. Obviously, after that fight, I really thought that I did enough to walk away with the win. Obviously, the judges didn't think that. It was also quite heartbreaking. After the fight, I went to both my coaches. It was like, "Do you have round 1 and 3?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think we do." And I actually went to Bisbing at the time and was like, "Sir, we have round 1 and 3, right?" And he said, "Yeah, I think so." And the decision didn't go my way. Afterwards, had the time to focus on some medical issues we've had a big surgery, sorted out some stuff, and after watching the fight, I'm pretty proud of what we accomplished, not only in that fight, but in the camp building up to that. I'm 23 years old, turning 24 only in December. I want to be here for a very long time, and in doing that, I'm looking at the bigger picture. So after every fight, we assess where we can get better. And there's obviously a lot of those key points. And I think in this 6 months, we sorted out a lot of stuff, and you'll get to see that come fight night.
And so, of course, in fighting, injuries is a part of it. But when you get to kind of get one of those periods you're talking about, how refreshing is it to get rid of some of these lingering things and almost start fresh in a way?
Yeah, it's massive. I fought 4 times in 11 months. That's tough on anybody. It doesn't matter if you're 22 or 42 years old. And I train with absolute killers at Team CIT. So the pace is already very high in training, and now you have to sustain that year round. It's tough. So once life throws these little nuggets to you where it's like signs. Take a break, take a step back. And I really got to spend some amazing time with friends and family, have a very good mental recharge. And then the moment we started our camp, once we had a name, I was happy to be back in the gym.
And so, of course, no one in sports wants to lose, especially in a fight. But is there some positives to take away? Because like you said, you're 23, so a loss, it's not the end of the world. This is just the beginning of your career. Were there some positives that you took away from this experience? Definitely. I'm still undefeated at 135, so that's fun, But it was, in terms of that fight, I'm very happy at the pace we fought at. I think we can improve on that. I do think that I got rocked. Honestly, I got rocked quite badly in that fight, and I really had to fight through that, so I know I can take a punch as well. And, coming up with my next opponent, he rates himself a striker. He's going to look to outpoint. He's going to look to land a lot of shots. I know for a fact that I will be able to handle that and will be able to counter. Yeah, so it's interesting you say that, because Payton was in here before. He didn't say anything disrespectful, but he said, hey, this is going to be a good fight, and he used that term, deep water. So what do you think when you hear that, and what do you expect when you guys get into that third round, if it gets there, and it does go into those deep waters? I think this is probably the most excited I've ever been for a fight, not only because the moment we got this matchup, we jumped. We were actually already in camp for someone else. And then we got the name, and I watched his Dana White Contender series. I watched that live. I watched his UFC debut as well back home in South Africa. And I saw a lot of social media hype about the guy. And I was like, man, okay, the moment I saw a post on Instagram, I just had that feeling of sooner or later we're going to meet each other. So I'm glad it's happening now. And Deep Waters is correct. I think he's very skilled. I think he is a very good striker. He has very strong wrestling. He's very athletic. And I do think it's one of those contenders for fight of the night. And that's also something I'm very appreciative of. The hardcore fans that really like fighting are really putting this forward for their fight of the night, and I do think that can happen. My job at the end of the day is going to be to show you how many levels I'm above Payton, and I have all respect for him. He is a really good fighter, and hopefully we can leave all of it in the UFC cage. And so, obviously back into the Apex, do you have any type of thoughts when it comes to that, wanting to get back into arena, or is it, hey, wherever I got to fight, I'll fight? Definitely, wherever they want me to fight, I'll fight. This is the 6th trip we've done to Vegas, including the Contender series. I'm 1-1 in the Apex, so we need to fix that right now. And so this feels absurd to ask for a 23-year-old, but this is going to be your 5th fight in the UFC. Are you starting to feel more comfortable in the octagon, almost feel like a veteran? Yeah, that's a great question. I do think that you every single time, win or lose, you do feel more at home. And in the cage, whether there are 10,000 people there or just 300-400, it's a massive moment. It means the world to me. I don't do anything else. Fighting is my life, my team, my coaches, those guys are my family. So this means the world to me. And you'll see that gratitude in the cage. And so last question for me, you know, the Ultimate Fighter's about to kick off. One of your teammates, Mark, is going to be on there. Did you give him any advice? And the fans at home, what can they expect when he steps in there for the Ultimate Fighter?
Mark Hume doesn't need any advice. He is so ready. He is one, I've said this many times. I've said it, he's one of the best welterweights and middleweights in the world. He is unbelievable. And under our head coach, Morné Visser, I have no doubt that he'll have massive success, not only in the show, but once he gets his UFC contract, once he's the Ultimate Fighter, he'll make a name for himself in his own right, representing South Africa and Team CIT.
Thank you for your time, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
I've just got one for you. You mentioned in your last fight there was some confusion about the scoring. What would you think about open scoring? I know that's been something people have talked about. Would that have affected your fight at all, do you think?
Definitely. I think that's massive. You know, in any sport in the world, most sports in the world, there's a tally. You can look up to a screen and see you either ahead or behind. Maybe that will affect guys being ahead. Maybe it will affect aggression. So you have to almost look at the flip of the coin. But open scoring is something that I do think can at least be looked at. And yeah, maybe have the guys vote. But fighters are not the smartest. So let the smarter guys decide that.
Thank you.
Hey, Cameron, I just wanted to know, were you surprised when they offered you Payton? Because, you know, he's a young prospect like yourself. You just fought a young prospect with C-Rod, so was the matchup kind of confusing to you, or do you think it makes sense?
It was quite confusing. We had a name first, which we were also happy with. I'm not going to disclose that now, and then they jumped to Payton. So it was quite confusing. I really thought we were going to fight somewhere in my career. I didn't think it was going to happen now. But, you know, Uncle Sean, if you want that, sure, let's do it now.
I mean, there seems to be a lot of hype on this guy. You had a lot of hype as well. Are you buying into this, like the hype train, or do you think, do you see him just as another Contender Series guy that has that attached to him?
I think he's flashy, he's athletic. I think he deserves the hype. I think he deserves the recognition. You know, I think he had a very hard-fought fight in the Contender Series, and he really calmed some storms in the early rounds of his debut. So I do think he deserves everything coming his way, and that just makes me more excited for this fight because I know how hard I worked for this opportunity. And we've been here before, you know, so may the best man win.
And we haven't talked to you since DDP is the new middleweight champion. I just wanted to know, like, the night of the fight when he got that title, how excited were you? What were the emotions like?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I unfortunately couldn't be in Canada for his win. It was absolutely insane. I was actually at home watching it alone. I didn't want any fans, or I just wanted to watch his fight without any whispers, shouts, screams. And you know, before they read the scorecards, I just kept yelling like, "We have a UFC champion! Like South Africa has a UFC champion!" So, you know, Trickus he's always been that guy. He was always supposed to be the front runner for South African MMA, and he was able to do that. And that's just the surface of what we are capable of doing in the UFC as Team CIT.
We all saw the hero's welcome he received in South Africa. I guess, what's the climate been like? Like, what's the energy been like since he's been home?
It's been amazing. You know, we also have an amateur promotion back home in South Africa called Versus, where I also work with amateur athletes. We do matchmaking for amateur fights. And just hearing coaches call us, thanking us for what Drickus has done, because of that, their gyms are just filling up with new members. So, you know, in terms of talent, we have so much talent. We are a few years behind in terms of structure to really get the talent that we need to really put guys forward in positions where they can be fighting for world titles. But it's been amazing. The sport of MMA is truly alive now in South Africa. We're getting more recognition. and we've come a long way. You know, we're in a small basement gym, and we were not a commercial gym at all. And yeah, it's developed quite quickly.
Seems like a no-brainer to take DDP to South Africa to defend. What's it going to take to get the UFC to go?
I think Uncle Dana just needs to buy his tickets, to be honest. I do think in terms of infrastructure, I think there's no better country in Africa than South Africa. And I've heard whispers of doing it somewhere else. Like, there's we've done the FIFA World Cup, we've done the Rugby World Cup. Our country is well equipped for the UFC to come there. If they can just find the perfect venue, we'll be able to free up our schedules for when they come.
And finally, for me, you being the match, you put your matchmaking hat on. Who should fight DDP next? Who should be his first title defense?
Without a doubt, Dricus du Plessis should face Israel Adesanya next. I think that's the fight that everyone wants to see. I think that's the fight that Dricus wants the most. We'll wait and see what happens.
Would you want to be on that card as well?
That 100%, without a doubt. You know, it is already a massive honor to represent your country overseas, but there's nothing like wearing those green shorts. I'm getting goosebumps just visualizing it. But being able to represent your country in your home country, especially if the UFC hasn't been there yet, that's a monumental event that I would like to be a part of.
Adesanya just makes sense for Dricus in that kind of event, but who would you like? You know, is anyone on in your radar who would be a suitable opponent for a show like that?
The guy on my radar at the moment is Payton Talbott. After that, we'll be focusing on who's next. Thank you.
Yeah, fair enough. And you were saying about like the impact like you and Dricus have had with talent coming through and people, more participation rates in South African MMA. Have you ever spoken to Dana White or anyone at the UFC about a PI in South Africa? Because there's one in Shanghai. He's spoken about Nigeria, but you know, could there be an opportunity for that kind of growth as well?
We've never had that conversation, not yet. I do believe that that's something that will happen quite soon. In terms of talent, athleticness, I think hardworking people, nothing beats South Africans. So I do think that if they want to explore that option, we are there, and we've already have in CIT, we already have proper structure. So if there's one gym you need to talk to be able to really make it work, it's us.
Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Cameron, I just got one more. Sean O'Malley obviously just had his first title defense in Marlon Chito Vera. Did you watch the fight, and what'd you think of it if you did?
Brilliant fight. Like textbook, he fought so well against Vera, and it just shows his maturity in the sport. I think, you know, he came through the Contender series just like I did, and just to see him get better with every single fight and really fight a textbook championship fight, it was very impressive. I had him beating Aljamain in the main event, and that's one guy that I do think that could be champion for a while. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do next in the bantamweight division. It's young, it's constantly shifting, there's already so much talent that makes me very excited. Great. Thank you, guys.
Vegas Edmen,
What's up? What's up?
how you feeling?
Good, brother. Good. I'm feeling good. Ready for Saturday.
It's been a little longer of a layoff, I think, than you were expecting. Why the layoff?
Yeah, just working on improvements, getting better, getting pushed in the gym, and March was a good time.
What were the lessons that you took from your last fight?
Well, not rushing certain things in fights, and then just upping the intensity in my training, sparring like how I fight. So the intensity went a lot higher.
Now that you've been in Vegas for coming up on 2 years, I guess, how much has that improved your game? Is it the sparring partners? Is it the coaches? Is it the atmosphere? Like, what is it?
Yeah, all around. There's always new bodies coming in here. We had the middleweight champion Sean here, so always working with them, getting a good push, good coaches here, the PIs here, so you're always going to get better here for sure.
Obviously you were scheduled to fight Dusko, now you're fighting AJ. Was it an easy kind of switch of an opponent? Like, were you looking forward to fighting Dusko, or what's up?
Honestly, it didn't matter, It was like, 6 weeks or 7 weeks out, so my manager called me and told me that they're trying to have Dusko got injured, so we're looking for a new guy, and it was him. So I'm like, let's do it.
What do you think of the matchup?
I like it. I think he's an up and comer, good fighter, but I think my skill set is a lot higher, and with the way I've been training, with the way I've been working, I'm gonna go out there and put on the performance.
Do you expect him to grapple you?
I expect, anybody who fights me is going to try to grapple me, but, let them try. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, on paper, it's it's an interesting matchup. Do you have any pressure on your shoulders coming into this fight?
No, I just want to go out there and perform, I know the work we put in for this camp has been amazing. I put in basically a double camp, with my camp and Sean's camp, so I've put in a lot of work for this fight, so I'm ready to go.
I've asked you this before. Obviously you had so much hype coming into the UFC. You start your career out in the UFC. You're just starching everybody, and then then you go on this on a losing streak, and everybody's talking that you're not good. He was all hype, blah 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 blah. Like, does that chatter still get to you, or do you kind of block it out?
No, honestly, it doesn't get to me. Everybody has their own opinion. You know how MMA fans are. They're riding with you one fight and then completely against you the next. But it is what it is. That's what makes the sport. But Saturday, let them tune in Saturday for a good performance.
So basically, you're saying if you go out there and spark AJ Dobson, they're all going to say Edmen's the champion.
Yeah, they're gonna. But they're gonna say stuff, or they're gonna make an excuse saying, "Oh, he didn't fight somebody good," or you know how they are.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
What? That's a welcome.
What's up, y'all? Oh, they do have a lot of waters up here. Oh, man. So great to see you guys.
Oh, it's the nicest thing ever.
It's better seeing you guys after I get this dove.
Yeah, right.
I'll be a little more excited. Yeah, exactly.
All right, Billy, over here. So, you kind of just let us know, but how good does it feel to be here and get the first fight in 2024?
Yeah, it feels great. I was looking for a fight literally right after my last fight in August, and there was kind of a hold-up. I was hoping to fight, on one of the big cards against a big name, but it is what it is. I'm super excited for the opportunity Saturday. It's always good coming back to the Apex. It feels a little more comfortable than going out there and fighting it in the stadium. But I still know what's on the line. It's a UFC fight. It's on ESPN. It's on the main card. So I'm going to go out there and perform on Saturday.
And, fighters they vary when it comes to the calendar year. Do you see that as like a fresh start, or is it just, hey, it's another fight, we're rolling through this chapter of my life?
Yeah, a lot of times I do look at it like that. Like, I want to fight 3 times this year. For this one, a lot of it had to do with my wife is due with our second child in April, and the further along we were getting, I was like, we got to get a fight. We got to get a fight. We got to get a fight. So literally at any moment she could go into labor. So it's something that I'm trying not to think about. There's really nothing I could do at this point, but I'm just happy that we got a date, we got an opponent, and start the year off right with a big win.
And so probably need that $50,000 performance bonus a little bit more than the other ones, huh?
Well, it'd be nice, but the most important thing, obviously every fighter wants to get the bonus. The biggest thing is just going out there and getting my hand raised, getting back on a UFC winning streak, being 2-0 going into the summertime or towards, later in the year. That's the biggest thing right now. But of course, a bonus wouldn't hurt.
And so could you just walk us through kind of how this fight came together? I know you had a fight, it was canceled, another opponent, he's gone. How exactly did this all play out?
Yeah, so like I said, we were really pushing because it was getting later and later. We were trying to fight in December, and then January in Toronto, and then February in LA, and we wanted to get on one of those big cards, and then Miami. And then it basically got to the point where I'm like, listen, if I don't fight soon, I'm not going to fight until who knows when, especially if you have any kids with the sleeping schedule. So Sean was basically like, all right, do you want to fight this guy, Gabe Miranda, at the Apex? And I was like, yes, let's do it. I'll fight. I don't even know who this guy is. We'll fight anyone at this point. And I looked him up and I watched a bunch of his film, and me and my coach kind of agreed. I was like, this is a great matchup for us. He's not a huge name, but it's going to be a good fight for us. Sure enough, a couple weeks later, he pulled out, and they were looking for someone, so it was kind of up in the air. We asked for some pretty big names. We asked for anyone in the top 15 who wanted to fight. We were ready to go, and then they mentioned Zalal, and we're in a position that we're not turning down fights. So we said yes to this one, and this is how that came about.
And so what do you think of Youssef Zalal? Maybe not even at first, stylistically, but the position he's in. I know you haven't experienced it, but not many guys get a second opportunity in the UFC. He was really fired up to be here just to get the opportunity. So what do you expect from him when you get in the cage?
Yeah, I looked up his record. I watched, some of his fights back. He was someone that I remembered in 2019-20 that I thought we were going to get matched up. I think we were both 3-0 at one point. So it was someone that I thought I was going to get matched up with, and then I forgot about him because he wasn't in the league still. So as an opponent, I think he's got a lot of skills. I don't think this is a great matchup for him, though. I saw him. He was talking about how he felt like he beat Ilia Topuria. I did not score it for him at all. He got taken down 5 times. He hasn't beaten anyone with a winning record in the UFC, and he's also, I think he's 0-3-1 in his last 4 UFC fights. So I do respect his skill set, and I do know he's entering his prime. He's only 27, so I have a lot of respect for him and everyone at his gym. But I see it a little more clear than other people see it, and I think I see it more clear than he sees how his career's gone so far.
And so without giving up any of your game plan, why do you think this matchup is very advantageous for you?
Well, because in what I've been able to do in the UFC, I've been able to finish really good guys. I've been able to perform at the highest level, and I fought guys that are very similar to him. But I think the biggest thing is, just my aggressiveness, my overall skills. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. My striking's gotten a lot better. And I think I've learned a lot from my last few fights. And I've also had a very good training camp. I know he's been getting ready for the Ultimate Fighter. But I was getting ready for a UFC fight this whole time. So I'm very prepared for this fight. And I think it's either going to be fight of the night or I'm going to get a performance of the night on Saturday.
And so I wanted to kind of ask you about the rankings. Right now they don't have you ranked. Number 15 is Alex Caceres. All the respect in the world for him as a veteran, but he's coming off a loss. You've only lost to some of the best fighters in the division. Do you believe that you should be ranked right now?
I do, but I understand how it works. I know like a lot of times you got to beat a ranked guy. Do I think I'm out? Do I think there's 15, 16, 17 guys in the world that would beat me? Absolutely not. There's some names that really stick out to me. But realistically, I just have to look at my opponent. I can't look past Saturday, and I can't really even think about the rankings because I got to go out there, perform, put on a show, remind people who I am, remind people why I'm still here, and that's what I plan on doing.
And so there's so many advantages that come your way with being, one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC. The fans love you, get some bonuses, but are you really focused on like taking that next step and showing, hey, I'm not just an exciting fighter, I'm an actual contender in this division?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got into the UFC, obviously being an exciting fighter is part of it, but I think everyone gets in the UFC, or all the real fighters get in the UFC to be a world champion. And that's what I've always wanted. When I got in the UFC, I was like, all right, let's go on a run, get in the top 15 first, top 10, top 5, and fight for a belt. And all the other stuff, the exciting fights, the highlights, all that stuff will come with it. But yeah, at the end of the day, the goal is the same, is to be a world champion. And I know all the accolades and all the money and everything comes with that.
And so last one for me, I saw on your Instagram, you just walked by the treats. Is it fair to say that's the first place you're going after this win?
Probably not the first place, but yeah, that's actually the hotel that we're in. I take the elevator downstairs. It's like the first thing I saw, and I'm like, who planted this here? Did my opponent put this here? Like, what is going on? And I'm a big sweets guy, so I haven't been able to eat any of that in a little while. But I think all this stuff, it just makes you mentally tougher. Like the weight cutting, the working out on an empty stomach, it just makes you tougher. And then after the fight, everything tastes and feels so much better when you earned it.
Thanks for your time, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
How tough was it not getting the Nate Landwehr fight?
Yeah, and everyone was asking me about it. Like Nate Landwehr's opponent pulled out, and it was really tough because we talked to Sean before, and we said like that Atlantic City date would be too far away. But then when Nate Landwehr's opponent pulled out, it wasn't like it was too late for me because I'm ready, but there's nothing I can do about my baby being born, and who knows, maybe the baby's going to come before, maybe after. But yeah, that was really a tough one because that was a fight that Nate Landwehr and Bill Elgio, those are two guys that we're going to fight eventually, but it's just not going to be right now.
I seen that you restarted your YouTube channel. How are you enjoying that?
Oh yeah, we just started that again, just to put content out there. It's one of those things that I want to look back on my career and be like, oh yeah, remember that fight? We did all of that. So it's like anything. Like I'm not expecting tons of views right away, but it's got to be set up to start generating some traction. So right now we're just having fun with it. I got a guy back at home who's posting a lot of that stuff. We're filming out here right now, and it's just something that. Maybe it'll turn into something, maybe it won't, but it'll at least be cool to have all that stuff, looking back on when I'm older.
How's it like being a gym owner?
It's amazing. Thanks for asking. So Gracie Pack in Tampa, it was something that I was trying to do for a while. I was either going to open up my own gym, and it was just a perfect opportunity. One of my friends, Chris Rodriguez, basically was running another business that was doing extremely well, and the opportunity came about where it was after the Damon Jackson fight. I made a little bit of money, and she's like, are you interested in buying this gym? So it took us a few months to go over all the numbers, but the gym was already a successful gym, and now I just took over, and we're going to take this thing to the moon.
What's the toughest part about running a gym?
I think the toughest part is just balancing everything right now. It's I have a little toddler at home. He's under 2 years old. He's a wild man, and getting ready for a UFC fight, and just doing all the stuff fight week. Like one of my general managers just messaged me that she's like, hey, do you have the Wi-Fi code because the Wi-Fi's down and we got to deal with this. And meanwhile, I'm like, I got to do media and cut weight and just trying to balance everything. I always joke that I thought I used to be busy, but now I'm like really busy, like a real version of being busy. So it's all things that I used to dream about. They're good problems to have, being a gym owner, being in the UFC, cutting weight. It's all good problems to have, but at times it could be a little much.
And finally, any closer to getting a pet squid?
What's that?
Any closer to getting a pet squid?
No, not getting probably not gonna buy a pet squid unless one of my kids, when I have the second one, if they wanted one. But even owning like fish and like I had a turtle at one point, they're kind of a pain in the ass. So I'm most likely not, but maybe next time we'll see. Thank you. All right, thank you guys so much. Have a good one. I'll see you Saturday post fight.
Yeah, there you go. That was it, right?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.